Crave by Tracy Wolff is a young adult paranormal romance fantasy novel released in 2020. The story centers on Grace Foster, a 17-year-old girl from San Diego, California, who is sent to a secluded boarding school in Alaska following the death of her parents. Crave is the first book in the #1 New York Times Bestselling Crave series, and it was recognized as an Amazon Best YA Book of 2020, Glitter Magazine's #1 pick for Best YA of 2020, and a widely popular book talk read. In 2022, Universal Studios produced a film adaptation of Crave, which is available on YouTube. The narrative is told from Grace's first-person, past-tense perspective. After losing her parents in a car accident, 17-year-old Grace Foster moves from San Diego to Fairbanks, Alaska, to live with her Uncle Finn and cousin Macy. There, she enrolls at the prestigious Katmere Academy, where her uncle serves as headmaster. Grace is captivated by the stark Alaskan landscape and the Gothic architecture of the school, though she quickly senses that something about the academy is unusual. On her first evening, a striking male student approaches her. Unbeknownst to Grace, he is Jaxon Vega, the school's most powerful vampire. He warns her of imminent danger and urges her to leave, his demeanor cold and abrasive. Surprised by her willingness to stand up to him, Jaxon finds Grace intriguing. Despite a magnetic pull toward him, Grace tries not to acknowledge her feelings. That night, two boys ambush Grace in the snow, and she is rescued by Jaxon, though she doesn't realize it. Grace struggles with altitude sickness and minor injuries, such as an ankle sprain from a snowball fight. Her friends Macy and Flint, both warm and humorous, help her adjust to the school, which is divided into exclusive cliques that rarely interact. Jaxon's black-clad faction, the Order, remains particularly aloof. Grace spends time exploring the library, where she meets Leah chanting in a mysterious language. Leah invites Grace for tea and shares that her boyfriend, Jaxon Vega, Jaxon's older brother, died the previous year. Grace and Leah form a bond over shared grief, Grace mourning her parents. Grace notices Jaxon never eats and makes subtle jokes about biting. She deduces his vampire nature, and he confirms it. As Grace and Jaxon grow closer, other students are surprised by his unusually protective behavior, since he is typically aloof. Gradually, Grace accepts that Katmere Academy is filled with supernatural beings, witches like Macy, vampires like Jaxon and Leah, dragons like Flint, and wolf shifters like the boys who attacked her. One day in the cafeteria, Flint invites Grace to sit with him, and a chandelier nearly falls on her. Jaxon suspects foul play and attacks the werewolves, using telekinesis and nearly killing the lead wolf before Grace stops him. Instead of fear, she feels drawn to his protectiveness, and their ensuing passionate kiss triggers tremors from Jaxon's power. When Grace asks about Hudson, Jaxon explains that Hudson could control others and sought vampire domination, sparking conflict among the supernatural factions. Jaxon killed Hudson to prevent his tyrannical rise and is now the Vampire King. Jaxon's mother, the Vampire Queen, blames him for Hudson's death, leaving a scar on his face. One night, Jaxon serves Grace tea prepared by Leah as a peace offering, but he becomes overwhelmed by rage. Though he restrains himself, Grace flees, woozy from the tea's effects. Leah ambushes her, knocking her unconscious. Grace awakens in the school tunnels, tied to an altar, where Leah intends to sacrifice her to resurrect Hudson. Leah cryptically hints that Grace is not an ordinary human. Jaxon and Flint arrive, but Flint in his dragon form nearly kills Grace to prevent Hudson's return. After a fierce battle, Jaxon subdues Flint and attacks Leah. When Jaxon is injured, Grace cuts herself, allowing him to drink her blood to survive. They stop Leah's resurrection spell, reducing her to dust. Days later, Hudson's spectral form appears, threatening Jaxon with a sword. Grace discovers latent powers, shielding Jaxon and turning to stone in the process. Jaxon carries her, now a gargoyle, to the infirmary, where Uncle Finn promises to find a way to restore her. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this video, leave a like and subscribe.